I'm joined here now by Sligo's Niall Murphy. We are at the launch of the Connacht Championship. If the weather stays like this, like it is in County Mayo at the moment, you'd be a pretty happy man.
Yeah, it's not bad. We're getting the tan on here, so it's not too bad.
It's the time of year, though, that I'm assuming footballers enjoy most.
Yeah, absolutely, and without a doubt, the ground is hard and the weather's good, so it loads for quick football, and it's the type of weather you want to get out and want to play in and want to play matches in.
I'm assuming we are obviously doing the club month at the moment. Probably a bit of recalibration going on in the Sligo camp because, to call a spade, the league probably didn't go the way you would have wanted it to.
No, absolutely not. Unfortunately, we got relegated this year, but no, look, it was a huge learning curve for our lads, for myself, for the management team and all the players. We had a lot of young lads as well coming up this year, and a lot of new lads in the panel. So the positives out of that is that they were able to get a bit of game time, whereas other years they mightn't have been able to get that. So bit of experience for them going into the championship, but no, it's going really well. Club at the minute. We've one more game next week in the league, and then we're full whack into county preparations for the middle of May.
Is it hard? Because I know, like you said, there's a lot of new, younger boys coming into the team now, which is good for the future. But it must be quite difficult to maybe try and bounce back a bit from that, because it's not just physically, it's a mental thing as well.
Look, it's huge. You probably come in at 17 or 18 and you're a fairly confident young lad, and you probably think you can make the step up, but it does take time. It's supposed to get the body right, the mentality around it as well, and it's a huge step. So it's a huge learning curve for them young lads, and I suppose it can be frustrating at times if lads are dropping out and not playing for whatever reason. But hopefully we can keep this team consistent for the next couple of years, and hopefully the promise will show sooner rather than later.
I assume, though, it's quite difficult to commit to a team. We all know the commitment that is asked of you guys. And then when you're playing for Sligo, or I suppose Leitrim had a good league, but you know what I mean, when you're seen as the weaker teams in Connacht, as one example, and then you've the All-Ireland series after that, it can be quite difficult maybe to keep days like this in your head when it's January, when it's February, when it's horrible, when it's mucky, and you're thinking, I could be at home, or I could be at the very least warm somewhere.
Yeah, look, absolutely, and that talk goes through, I'd say, most county lads' heads when you're out in November, December, or January, and you're slogging around in the wet and the muck. And I suppose as well as that, you're only guaranteed 9 games as well between the league and championship. If you're obviously lucky to win a couple of games, you've a few more. But I suppose extra games would be great as well. On top of that, but look, I suppose these are the days, the summer days that you play for, and it's just when May comes around or when June comes around, the summer times, it's a lot more enjoyable. You know, you're getting your hands on the ball a lot more, and it's a lot faster than that. And hopefully you go on and win a couple of games, and you can prolong your summer a bit longer.
I suppose as well, the prospect of a tiered championship, would that appeal to somebody like yourself, who anyone who goes into an inter-county setup, you're all very competitive, you're not normal people to begin with?
Yeah, no, probably not, Jan. Yeah. In terms of a tiered competition, I'm not too sure. I'm not sold on the fact yet, to be honest. I suppose initially, being from Sligo, we've seen down through the years that Sligo have been fairly competitive. I know maybe this year or over the last couple of years we mightn't have been, but since the early 2000s, or since I've been around, I've been watching Sligo teams. Beating the likes of Galway, Roscommon and Mayo. I've been involved in a couple of those teams as well. So I suppose dwelling on that experience, I feel that Sligo can compete at a fairly high level. And that doesn't mean we're going to go on and win all Ireland's, but if you'd give me the opportunity to go on and play some of the top teams or play in a B championship, I'd jump at playing the top teams all day long. And this year we're either going to have Galway or London in Markfitch Park. Being, let's say, if Galway get through, it could be a packed out stadium, or Markfitch Park will be fairly packed, and that's the days. Like, that's where you put in the slog in there that you're talking about in November and December and January to play in those days. And we've seen before that the Sligo have put it up to these teams and beaten these teams. So no, I don't think so. I don't think I'd be too. I wouldn't be. I don't think I'd be too far for the B championship as of yet. Hopefully that's not the case for the next couple of years anyway, while I'm involved.
What do you think would be a help then? You mentioned there earlier that guaranteed 8 or 9 games. To get more games, what would help?
Yeah, well, there's talk of maybe a Champions League format or something like that, and if the tiering system came in after that, okay, that might be a bit fair, where if you're finishing third or fourth, that you go into a B competition or whatever. But like, you're putting in 100 plus training sessions a year for the return of minimum 9 games. It's a bit mental. It's mad. And ultimately, all you want to be doing is playing games. Like, unfortunately, there's no county games over April now. We've won in May then. So there's people talk about a fixture congestion, but there's definitely scope and more availability there for extra games. So I look at the hurling competitions down in Munster at the minute, and they're doing a league sort of format in the Munster hurling, and it was huge last year. And if you had something like that in the provincials at the start of the year, it'd be great, because for likes of ourselves, like we start out the year in Division 3. Obviously this year didn't go plan, but you're playing those teams on a similar standard towards yourselves, and then you have to go into a championship game and prepare for possibly the likes of Galway this year, and you haven't played anyone of that calibre yet. But if you were to play in maybe more of a league format come championship as well, and play out those teams of a better grade, you're ultimately going to improve as a player and as a team, and give yourself a better chance going forward.
That's actually a really interesting point, which I didn't actually think of myself. When you're playing in the league, your teams against you, with the exception of one or two usually in your group, you're all there or thereabouts, very, very similar. And that's quite difficult then. I'm just thinking, even if you're Westmeath, all of a sudden you're drawn against Dublin, for argument's sake, and that's not to belittle Westmeath in any way, shape or form, but it's different experience, and to be the best you have to play the best.
Exactly. And it might, like you talk about going to a tier championship or a B championship, but if you give these lesser teams more access to the top teams, they'll ultimately improve. Like it's a matter of fact. So I know if a couple of years ago we played Mayo in a Connacht championship, if we played them a couple of weeks later, I know we would have learned a huge amount, and they wouldn't have beaten us by what they have. But I was talking recently about bringing the leagues back to an A and a B format, 1A, 1B. So you've, like I said, Division 4 teams playing 3 teams, or Division 2 teams playing Division 1 teams as well all the time. So ultimately, if the lesser likes for ourselves have access to better teams, and it's going to, I suppose, bring the attention of your own county up as well, and supporters and that will be on board a little bit more, and even lads who are probably contemplating playing Gaelic, if they see like you going out and playing teams of a similar calibre, mightn't be as pushed. But if you're going out and playing someone as a league or two above you on a more regular basis, it's going to appeal to them a lot more.
Obviously, you mentioned it there earlier, very, very appealing to you as a parked out Markievicz Park, probably against Galway, and hopefully sun shining, and that's kind of what the Connacht Championship is all about. And Connacht and Ulster are the competitive ones. They're the ones to watch this year. You seem to be fairly delighted to play a part in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, this is what it's all about. I suppose London are going to be hoping to do the same thing we're possibly hoping to do if Galway do get through, and London have taken a scalp or two in the last couple of years. So, but if the bookies are right, which they're not too far wrong, we will be no, not too often. So, but no, look, we played Galway last year, and they taught us a few things. So hopefully we can improve on them and learn on them and bring it towards summer, and hopefully with 10 or 15 minutes to go, we might be too far away or thereabouts.
I actually remember that game, and you know when you're playing a team and they're running away from you, what's going through your head? Are you trying to not go into panic mode, or what happens?
Oh, I don't know. It just happens like that. It's like a click of a fingers, and they're just gone. And a couple of goals early on, and I suppose the game just takes on sort of its own life. Then, if you want to call it that or whatever, but it's frustrating. There's not much you can do when it's happening there in front of you. But look, you have to just take the learnings from it. Definitely learned loads myself from that game last year, and I know we've probably a newer team this year, but we'll definitely look back in it and try and learn from it, and then try and cut out their more influential players, and hopefully we can see some positivity on the scoreboard anyway towards the end of the game.
Was it those early goals? I know it's like a year ago now, but do you look back and maybe that little bit of naivety, was that maybe that caught you guys out? Because those goals seemed to sneak in very, very quickly, and then that was game over, ball burst nearly.
Yeah, it could have. Yeah, like I know going into last year, we were confident enough that we could put on a good show or a good performance. You know, we were going well up until that, but I suppose them things can just happen. But it's all a learning process, and hopefully we won't be naive this time. We will look to cut out their more influential players, as I was saying, and hopefully cut out their main threats. But it's hard to know that we're back down to Division 4 now. Unfortunately, Galway are up the top tier. You know, they're All-Ireland contenders probably at this stage. So we'll see in 3 or 4 weeks' time.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, look, Sligo have since I've been around and playing football, we've beaten some of those teams now. Maybe we might have had a stronger team, you might say, on paper or whatever, but shocks happen every year. So we'll be praying, and we'll be crossing our fingers that it might be us this time, but we'll see.
I think that's a good place to leave it. And the thing is as well, obviously it's sport, anything can happen, and that's the great thing about it.
Yeah, exactly. I guarantee there'll be one shock this year. So I know, was it Carlow, I think beat Kildare last year, was a huge shock. So look, we'll see. We're a good bit off, but you never know.